Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. And we're really excited because we are celebrating Christmas and we're going way, way back. This is very exciting. We are talking about the three oldest Hallmark Christmas movies.
Yes.
Our classic Christmas movies. This is long before there was even thoughts of Hallmark Channel. We're going all the way back to 1969 is our earliest one. We're talking about Hallmark Hall of Fame films, from 1969, one from 1977, and one from 1979, I think.
I believe so.
78. Sorry, 78.
We don't make it. Haven't made so.
Go ahead.
I said we don't make it to the 80s.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, we don't make these ones like these today, that's for sure. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. And I'm film crew Rachel Wagner. Thaddeaus is here.
Hey, nice.
Yeah, how was this for you? How's this diving into the Hallmark of the past?
They were, I had no idea what to expect. They were nothing at all like a modern Hallmark Christmas movie.
Yeah.
And, was kind of refreshing. Kind of, we'll talk.
Yeah. I think there's one that they could remake. There's potential in one of them, I think, that has the like bones of a Hallmark movie in there. But yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
There is one.
Yeah. Well, let's dive in. Let's talk about them. It's going to be fun. So the first one, it's called Littlest Angel. This is from 1969 Hallmark Hall of Fame. It's based on a book, I guess.
Yes.
Yes. The summary is: a little shepherd boy newly arrived in heaven tries to adjust to life in the hereafter. This is director Joe Layton, and it stars Johnny Whitaker and Fred Gwynne and Cab Calloway, and Tony Randall makes an appearance.
Yeah, so it's interesting to see Eddie, Herman Munster without the. So, yes.
Yes, if people don't know, Fred Gwynne was Herman Munster.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay.
Well, that's what you really look like. Okay.
So this movie, I mean, it really, I think every Hallmark fan should watch this movie.
I mean, you have to. It's the first Christmas movie that they did.
Yeah.
And it is something to behold.
It is something to behold.
Yeah.
I said in my thing, my reaction was, it's basically like child death meets discotheque meets God.
Yes. Yeah, it was something. I don't think I'll ever forget this movie. I've never seen anything like it before.
Yeah. It reminded me of it. In my church, there was like these old videos from like this, I don't know, the 80s, 70s, 80s, that like were still floating around for forever, where they showed like a similar version of heaven that looked like a discotheque. Like, I don't want to go there. That doesn't look like where I want to go.
Yeah, and I understood why poor little shepherd boy was like, Michael was like, I don't belong here. There isn't anything for me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and I thought for sure, because I never read the book, I don't know the story at all. I thought, okay, he's gonna, like, the reason why he's feeling all confused or whatever is that he doesn't actually belong there, and in the end he was gonna like wake up on the hill.
Yes.
And then come down and that it was all either like a dream or, a near death experience or whatever. I thought for sure that was going to be the ending. And the fact that he like remains, sorry, spoiler alert, guys, but the fact that he remained dead, like, I was shocked.
I had no idea what was going on. I mean, so yeah, he's a little shepherd boy, right? Yeah. And he goes out and is, I guess, very adventurous. And he's following this bird, climbing up a mountain, and he goes to like catch the bird. And within like less than 5 minutes, he tumbles off the mountain.
Yeah, he like leaps off of the mountain. I was like, oh my gosh.
And I felt so bad, but that scene was kind of funny to me because the way that it was shot, like the way that he kind of like he leaps off and it just tumbles. I was
you were texting me, you're like, I feel bad, I'm laughing. Child's dying.
Yeah, and then he ends up in heaven, and you know, and they say, you know, you're in heaven, you're an angel. You know, that I don't think they never explicitly tell him that he's dead. So I was like, you know,
I guess because he has to go through this is like a way station kind of.
Yeah.
And he has to get his halo, he has to get his wings.
Yeah.
And so, but I thought because he seemingly so out of place and seemed to be the only child.
Yes, there were no other children up there.
So I guess all the other children that unfortunately passed away, like, I don't know, aren't angels, or I don't know what it is, where they are. But that's why I thought, okay, he's gonna like learn something and then he's gonna go back, because he just seemed so out of place. Right. And I was like, oh my gosh, he's dead. He's dead.
Dead. And then you know, you know, like you said, he's doing trying to do all of these different tests that the angels are supposed to do, and he is just not able to do any of them.
Yeah.
And so he is saying that he doesn't belong here. He like refuses to acknowledge that he's an angel. He goes and actually, you know, does a prayer to God saying, you know, he thinks God's made a mistake and he doesn't belong here and he wants to go back home.
Yeah.
And you know, and then, you know, he finally asks to go back home. He asks Patience, the angel played by Herman Munster, and he does go back home to get the box.
So at the beginning, he's kind of like a little bit of a pack rat. He's got all the stuff that he saved and his little mementos and everything in this box. And his dad was very cold to him. That was another reason why I thought, okay, they're going to get like another chance they're going to realize, oh, I should have been nicer. I should have been to my child or I thought there was going to be a redemption arc there as well. Once he almost dies, you know, and then you'd see him and be like, oh, I was so worried for you, my son, or something like that. Nope. No.
And the weird thing is, like, his parents don't realize that he's dead.
Yeah, we never get that scene of them like finding him, or
they're just like, oh, he's off looking for more treasures for his little box, and you know, who knows? So yeah, the parents in the movie at least never realized that he died, which was interesting.
Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/Hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
And, you know, for most of the movie, I'm like, this is not really Christmassy. Like, where does the Christmas come? And of course we do.
Yeah, it's not until the very end. You're right.
Yeah. And, you know, and so we're going through, he goes home and then he kind of, you know, for some reason realizes that he has to go back to heaven. So he does go back to heaven. He has his box. He takes it with him. And I think is that at that point that Jesus is about to be born in Bethlehem. And all the angels are supposed to bring gifts to Jesus for when he's born. So of course we get super Christmassy now because we're talking about, it's the very first Christmas, and it's like the actual reason for Christmas, or the original reason for the holiday. So so he is really agonizing over what to do for Christmas, and what to give Jesus.
What to give to Jesus.
Yes. And he wants the help of Patience, the angel. However, Patience has been sent away because he broke the rules, I guess, again,
in letting him get his box.
By allowing him to go back to Earth to get his box. And so, he's kind of thinking about it more, and the only thing he can think to give, he's really touched. He wants to give something that means something to him. And so he decides to give his box. And when he says that, the angel, who seems like one of the leaders that he gives it to, is like, I don't know about this. This isn't very impressive. But at that very end, we get God coming, and God is saying that his gift stands above all the rest because he gave something that really meant something to him. And his gift actually becomes the star, the Christmas star that led the three wise men to Jesus. That was the sign, which was even super Christmassy. We get.
So are we supposed to believe that Michael, that is the Michael, the archangel, Michael, of the Bible?
I wasn't sure. I think maybe, because obviously with that kind of gift and the way that God acknowledges him in the movie, obviously he does get elevated status. And I think that with that, I think he qualifies as an archangel. So maybe,
maybe. I think it's an origin story.
We got the origin story for the star of David in for the nativity. So I guess maybe this was also the origin story for Michael the archangel. There was no other Michael mentioned.
No, I don't think so.
And I think there was a Raphael, and there might have been a Gabriel and others. So I think maybe he is Michael the archangel.
I think so. Well, there's a lot of songs in this. It's under an hour and 20. So it's not, all three of these are short, really short. And but there's 9 songs. Yes.
It starts with a song. Then we have Cab Calloway, who is like the leader of the Heavenly Choir.
10 songs.
Yeah. It was a lot. It was like every few minutes there was a song. And even when he prays, they were like, the Heavenly Choir was like backing the prayer, and they were like, and he's going on, and they're like, oh, in heaven, all the prayers are always backed by the Heavenly Choir. I was like, okay.
Yeah, Cab Calloway and the Heavenly Choir.
Yes.
It was something else.
Yeah.
So. And Johnny Whitaker is very cute as this little angel, as Michael, and he has a cute little voice.
Yes, yeah.
I can see why they hired him.
Jody from Family Affair, which was another show in the 60s that I watched TV Land back in the day.
Well, and I just felt like it was just so odd to have this story about this little boy dying, this tragic story in this really, really terrible looking, I get it. It's 1969, and TV budget, but it looked absolutely atrocious. And everything about it was just so kitschy and so funny, and that it was something else to watch.
Yeah, I don't think I will never forget this movie. It was something, it was a sight to behold. was entertaining. I will have to watch it again just to make sure what I saw was actually real. So,
I mean, did you have a song that you think was the best or anything that stood out? Because I would say probably the best song is probably the song that Fred Gwynne sings, the what do you do when you say you're doing nothing? That was a pretty good song. Or I mean, I guess the last I bring you good tidings, but that was basically just like
that's probably, well, I mean, it was, that was like the grand finale, so of course it's gonna be pretty good. But I mean, I still won't get over the choir backing him when he was playing. That's
the Heavenly Ever After.
Yes.
It was wild. It was wild. And then they bring in Tony Randall, the man who knows he's the man who knows the details of everyone's job in heaven. His name's Demetrius.
Yes.
And he's waiting for the syncopop. That's the man who knows the details of everyone's job in heaven. And that's Tony Randall sings "You're Not Real." And that's what made me think, I'm like, is this a dream? Is he gonna wake up and this was all a dream?
It's tough. I think, I don't think I ever really thought that he was gonna live, because like when they show, I mean, it would be one thing if they don't really show him going off the mountain, but they showed him plummeting off of that mountain,
and then he like zooms up.
Yes, it was. So I was, and I mean, that was something. I was like, oh my goodness. And like I said, it was hilarious to me, the way that he flies off.
How about that scene when they're literally like practically playing ping pong with the planets? That was hilarious. Or like, because I guess that's the thing angels do. They literally, one of their jobs is to push planets.
Yes.
And so like boom, boom,
yes.
boom.
Yes, that was
like volleyball. It was like volleyball with planets.
And it was funny because they kind of reprimanded Michael when he like moved a star, and they were like, "Oh, you can't do that.
Not your job."
Someone, because apparently every human has their own star. That
you have to grow up to the job of being an angel.
Yes,
that's what they said.
So
I guess you're not stuck with the age you're born, the age you die. You grow in heaven in this world.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We're getting into some deep theology here.
Yeah, because I mean, even when he's elevated with that gift, that becomes the Star of David. I mean, we don't see him grow up. He's just himself, but now he's an angel, or maybe I don't know. But
well, so yeah, he finds out that the Son of God is being born, and he wants to give him a gift. He's just gotten his box back, and he gives Jesus, after the "I Bring You Good Tidings" song, he gives the box to God or Jesus, and he says, and then God says, the items in the box are the miracles of the earth, or symbolic of the miracles of the earth. He says, no gift is worthless if it comes from the heart.
Exactly.
And
yes.
You gave the most special gift, and you've become quite an angel.
Yes.
And that's when he becomes the shining star of Bethlehem.
Yes, the shining star. So, and that's what allows patience to come back, because he did, because it's showing that he was able to successfully help Michael to orient himself to being a good angel. Yeah,
but it like makes the whole story, the Bethlehem story, like sadder. If it's a child died on a hill chasing a bird, and that's the star. Like it gives a whole new level to the story.
Yep. So the littlest angel.
You never think about it the same. But it is one of the weirdest movies I think I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it was like I said, I will never forget it. And I think that, you know, anybody that's a fan of Hallmark Christmas movies definitely needs to take a watch, because it's the first one, and it just needs to be seen.
Yeah. Also, the other thing is, so you never see his parents crying over him or upset, and I guess that's what they were trying to do to keep it like really happy. But you see his mom is making like birthday cookies for him.
Yes.
And I just don't like see that as like, wasn't this supposed to be like in ancient like Greece, right? Or Rome, someplace like
somewhere.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just didn't know the birthday cookies were a thing.
Well, you know, but
it seems very modern to me.
That is kind of make it pretty sad that she's like making these birthday cookies that he's dead.
It's really sad.
So
but he sees his parents, they can't see him. He gets his box. And that's when he sings I Have Saved. That's the song he sings there. And so yeah, it's a trip. It's an experience.
It is. How many crowds do you want to give?
You can't give it any. I don't know.
It's tough. You know, I will give it.
I don't know. It was bad, but funny. But
I will have to give it. I'll give it 3 because I probably will watch it again.
3.
Yes. You know.
Yeah.
Today's episode of the podcast is sponsored by W Rated, the podcast where we willingly watch the world's worst rated movies. Join me, Daisy,
and me, Claire, as we break down the IMDb Bottom 100, choosing a different film from the list every episode.
We take a deep dive into the plot, production, release, and reviews, usually with a special guest, to uncover if these films are truly as bad as everyone says they are.
You can find us on Spotify, Apple, Good Pods, and anywhere else you find your podcasts.
Let's talk about Have I Got a Christmas for You? This is from 1977, and this is 1 hour length, and this was Hall of Fame. Director Mark Daniels, and it stars Steve Allen, Milton Berle, Adrienne Barbeau, Herb Edelman, just a Harold Gold, bunch of people that you probably recognize from television and particularly television.
Yes, and Mr. Howe from Gilligan's Island was also there. Yes.
Yeah, and Kim Fields is a child actress in it.
Yes.
And the plot is members of a town's Jewish community decide to substitute for their Christian friends and neighbors so they can enjoy Christmas. The good folk humorously attempt jobs they have never done before.
Yes.
And this is the one that I think they could actually remake.
I agree.
I really do. I think the core idea of these Jewish people saying, our friends we're gonna work for them so that they can celebrate Christmas is a really cute idea.
Yes, it was very sweet.
Yeah.
And obviously not realistic in some of the ways that they substituted, this retired nurse who hasn't worked in decades just all of a sudden is working at a hospital. That would not happen in real life.
Yeah.
But these people, go to run a restaurant and they don't cook and whatever. It was
the nurse was the biggest stretch, but it wasn't like she knew nothing. She just but what was the funnier part to me, at least, is that they had this whole command center. This thing was serious. They had phones and they're like,
yes, they did.
It was really funny to me.
Yeah, it kind of looked like one of those like telethon sets. That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
But yeah, that whole thing. I mean, this movie was, it wasn't like as crazy as the previous one. But it was hilarious. Like
it definitely had that like 1970s hokey kind of crazy antics sort of a thing. So if they did it now, it would be way more like sweet and sincere and everything.
They have to tone it down. I mean, I would want a little bit of the wackiness. Like I would want a wacky element because it is, and I would want to see people like scrambling to try to make things work and all of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, they wouldn't. Definitely they wouldn't be able to do something like that at like a hospital. Like someone you'd have to like be employed. They have to do background checks. All of that. But but a lot of other jobs.
Maybe they could make her like
a traveler, maybe.
Or maybe she is still like volunteering as a nurse, as a mom nurse, or make her like still. But because her whole plot, basically, she had been a nurse, and then she decided to give that up to be a wife and mother, and so she hadn't done it for a while. But then now her husband has died, and
her kids are grown.
Yeah, and so she learns from this experience, like her character arc is she learns through helping the Kim Fields little girl that there's still more life after widowhood. Is I think what she says.
Exactly. Yes.
So maybe there's some way they could kind of clean that one up. But the rest of them, I think what happened with the bartender thing is that it ended up just being way more people because they had like this huge pot of stew, and it was kind of stupid of the barkeepers that they didn't show her where the ladle is. That might have been helpful. But basically, so it starts out with this narration from Milton Berle, and he's like, this was wild and crazy.
Yes, and it was. So
and they decide that they're going to follow the admonition of love our neighbors as we love ourselves, and that we're going to help our Christian friends celebrate Christmas. And I just think that this would be a really fun way to for a countdown to Christmas movie.
Yes, I agree.
I
agree. I think that this, like the actual like concepts make for a very good, sweet, and funny movie.
Yeah. And he says nothing of value is accomplished without a risk.
Yeah.
So there's a risk of taking over all these positions, but nothing of good value is accomplished without a risk. And then they have received twice as many requests as expected. And this Christmas committee turns into this like switchboard situation where they have like
yes, they're doing it's like I said, it seems like they're like on a telethon.
Matching volunteers with requests, and they're all coming in and we got to help over here.
It was that was funny.
It was really good. And so we have at the bar we have Marcia and Dan.
Yes, and
they're a couple that are in a trying moment, difficult, rough patch in their marriage, and definitely
not a Hallmark approved solution that they have come with.
So the big shocker is that they have decided to take individual vacations.
Yes.
Which I've heard and read something that's actually can be a good thing for couples.
Yeah, I've
heard that before.
Vacations. Yeah, I think people do that, but go on a little trip, guys trip, girls trip, whatever. Yeah. But they're going, and they're like, and you can do whatever you want, and we're not going to say anything about what we do. Wow, I was like, oh, okay, let's.
Well, and she was like very needy at the beginning. She's like, she's showing him all her dresses, and like his responses aren't perfect. And basically the point of their arc is that like having a project that they're both working on, that they're both serving is what they need to realize how much they love each other.
Yes. And
which is very sweet.
together, to work towards a common goal.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree. Like that was a good story. They could be like a good secondary couple in our new version of the movie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Who would be our main couple though? Actually, you know what, the nurse, she would be the main character, and she would.
There would have to be a love interest though for her.
Yeah. Yes, we would have to find
maybe a doctor.
Yes, maybe a nice Jewish
doctor. Yeah, Jewish doctor.
We got Hallmark. We got the movie for you now. Okay.
I died laughing when Milton Berle says that it was like D-Day coming. I knew how General Eisenhower felt.
Oh my gosh.
And then he says, we're off to a good start. And I forget who says this is, that's what they said at the start of the Titanic.
they're just I mean, like I said, this movie was so very funny. The cast was really good. Like it was just a who's who of different TV shows and things from like the 70s and 60s and 70s and earlier. And they all knew how to deliver great comic timing by pretty much everybody. Kim Fields, the baby Kim Fields, was adorable as like the little girl who is in the hospital and her parents are like off at some party.
Because she has like a seizure of some kind, and then but she has sickle cell problems, so that makes everything more complicated. And they had like a doctor there. It wasn't just the nurse.
There
was a trained doctor.
But that was somewhat realistic. Like the doctor comes and sees patients maybe a couple of times during the day, unless something going on. But the nurses are the ones that are, checking more frequently. So that was realistic.
Yeah, I did laugh with the bartender plot when they're like, "This new generation of Jews likes whiskey."
And I loved how they were talking about this stew, and it was like, she didn't know what the
like, why wouldn't you just get a cup?
Yeah.
Or even just the bowl itself, and then like use that instead of trying to dump it all in. And she loses like 2/3 of the stew because she does that.
Yeah, that was hilarious. And then when they they were just like, they did their makeshift stew that was whole thing.
Well, so she calls into the call center and they're all like, "Oh no, this is a disaster. This is a problem." As if they couldn't just be like, "Sorry guys, only drinks." Only drinks. And this is a crisis happening. And I think it's so this woman, Rita, who's one of the call ladies, he's like, "My aunt has goulash in the fridge."
Yeah, Hungarian goulash.
Hungarian goulash. Yeah. And so then she goes and gets the stew, and everybody's like, "This tastes different, but it's delicious." It was great.
So they made it work.
So I guess I wrote down, it's actually the little girl, Kim Fields, her spleen had ruptured.
Yes.
That's what it was. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you do have Adele, the nurse, praying to God for Kim, which was very, very sweet. And you find out that I guess this couple, Marcia and Dan, know how to make a good eggnog. Eggnog brandy.
Yes.
This is the best I've ever had. So, great. Really good. The other main plot is you have Leo and Barry. Barry is his, I guess, college-aged son. Who's like taking a gap year, like not figuring things out, like, and they had signed him up to be the DJ, and evidently going without a DJ would be like a major crisis.
Oh no, I mean, how many of those people are like listening to the radio on Christmas Day? And so of course,
I mean, I do think it's kind of funny that wouldn't a lot of Jewish people need a little bit of education about what Christmas songs to play? On the radio? I mean, you know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe not, but
it's on enough. They're familiar enough.
I guess Barry knows. Well, but Barry's like, I'm not going to go. I'm not going to listen to you. And he's feeling smothered by his parents. And you have his dad, Leo, who's played by Harold Gold, who was Rose's boyfriend on Golden Girls.
Okay.
For years and a long time. And he was a very attractive older man. He's great. And anyway, and so his dad starts first, and he's at the Barry's at the bus station. He hears his dad flailing about as DJ. Ooh. And he's like, oh, I better go help. So then he goes and helps, and they work together, and they learn to respect each other.
Yeah.
And it's very sweet.
He actually, like, they're actually able to have a good conversation about how he needs to go and find himself, because he, just doesn't really know who he is. And he needs to, like, go see the world and go, experience different things to have a better understanding of himself and what he wants to do. So, and then his father understands.
He tells him, so his father tells him about a friend of his who went out to explore the world, and he never saw him again. Mm-hmm. And he says, when things got bad, I always knew that something else was possible. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so then there's a mad rush to get a pianist for the bar.
Yes.
Because they couldn't just, like, play the radio. They got to have live piano.
Exactly. Yes. And so,
but the pianist that they get, he can only do, like, classical.
Mm-hmm. And not a guitar. So Milk.
I'm pretty sure almost anybody who can play the piano can do, like, Jingle Bells and Deck the Halls and stuff like that. No, but probably would be helpful if you had some kind of sheet music. Silent Night. I mean, pretty.
No, I mean, listen. He would not deign to lower himself to play pedestrian.
I mean, it's shocking. So then Milton Berle gets on there, and he starts to play Jingle Bells, and that's when we get our little lesson at the end. He says, we each learned a little something.
Yep.
The Leo Silva learned that love and respect are on both sides of a two-way street.
Yep.
That Dan and Marcia learned that the greatest return on a tired marriage is doing something worthwhile together. Mm-hmm. Separate vacations, not this couple. And then Adele certainly learned that after widowhood, there is life.
Yes.
And he says, that year we had a wonderful Christmas, but I wasn't surprised. But didn't I predict success to begin with? I also like that we have Sid Weinberg is playing Santa at the hospital. She's like, Sid? What? It's like Sid from Temple.
Yeah.
That was really funny.
Yeah.
And it was just, I was thoroughly charmed by this. It is hokey. It is really silly, but I was really taken with it. It was fun.
I enjoyed it. It. I'll give it 3.5.
Mm-hmm. I would probably give it a 4. And it is somewhat on a curve compared to these others.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, like, I gave extra points to the other one just because it was so crazy that, like, again, because,
Yeah, but I do think that we need the remake. This needs to happen.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm gonna call Julie Sherman Wolfe right away.
Yeah. Oh,
if there was ever a script that she needs to write, this is it.
She would be perfect.
It would be perfect.
Have her watch this movie, and
yes.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, hearty, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anne of Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
So our last one is called Stubby Pringle's Christmas. This is 1978. And this is considered to be like a lost film. Mm-hmm. And the only one we have is on, you can watch it on YouTube, but it's like a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy. Which is, I mean, it is sad because it's got Beau Bridges in a pretty good performance and Julie Harris. And actually, I did think it was pretty sweet. And it's a kind of story that they would never make anymore.
Yeah.
Because basically it's simple. It's not that long.
Yeah, that's the shortest of the movies.
Yeah, it was 55 minutes.
Yeah, was it even 55 minutes?
That's what it says on the IMDb. I don't think that on the YouTube it was that long. I think it was like 48.
Yeah, it was like 47, 48 minutes. So yeah.
And basically this movie, it's about cowboy named Stubby Pringle. Yeah. And he has grand plans to go to a Christmas Eve dance. And he met a girl there last year. He hasn't seen her, it seems like, since. Did he kiss her?
She kissed him.
Okay. Well, so he has this girl. He wants to see her again. I guess he hasn't seen her. And he has all these things come in the way of being able to go to the dance.
Right.
And he has, the main thing is this woman, Julie Harris, plays, who is this, she's married to this man and things are really, really, really tight. And he goes over there first and she doesn't have a Christmas tree. And he's like horrified.
Yeah.
So we got to get a Christmas tree. So he helps her get a Christmas tree. And then they set up the Christmas tree and he's like, well, you've got to have decorations.
Yeah.
Like, I don't do things halfway.
Yeah.
He's like, it's a whole thing. Decorations included for the tree.
Yeah.
And so they make like some kind of dough that they carve. They make ornaments out of.
Yeah. And I did
like
that
a salt dough or something.
Yeah, I've done that as a kid. We used to do that in like school, make the little dough ornaments. Yeah, I think a couple are still on. My mother's kept a couple of them. They're still on. They still get put on the tree.
Yeah. So. And then they're making like snowflakes and different things. And
exactly. Yeah.
And I guess what was kind of refreshing is that there's no like romance at all between these two.
He never meets the what's her name? The girl, does she? Or
no, I mean, I'm saying between Julie Harris and Beau Bridges, like none. This is truly a selfless act on his part. There's no sense of like his interest in her at all. Nope. She's married. It's not even on the table. This is just, he is a good person, which was refreshing. You usually don't see that in these kind of stories.
Yes, it was just, because he had Christmas spirit.
Yeah. And then he has this box of chocolates and there's this other cowboy there at the ranch or wherever they're at. And he wants one of those chocolates so bad. He's so mad. And she's like, I'm not breaking up the set. These are from my girl. And the other cowboy is very annoyed about that. The pretty girl is going to get that box of candy. And that's why I was surprised. I thought that, okay, he's going to show up and the party's going to be over, but then like she'll be waiting for him or something. I thought, oh, he's going to give her that chocolate because there was so much like, I thought there would be more payoff about the candy. But no.
Yep. Party's over. He missed it.
I guess he missed it. I was just like, oh, okay. Yeah. And so he missed his selfless act. He missed his shot at true love, I guess.
Yep. And then when he goes back to the cabin and they ask him about it, he's like talking about it was kind of like what he imagined or something. It was interesting.
Yeah. Well, so he says that, oh, we're gonna get married and all this stuff to try to make so that the other guys won't feel bad for him.
Yeah.
So he tells the story. And I also thought it was really funny when they finish decorating And he's like, well, what about Santa? Santa's gonna come, right? She's like, oh, I'm too poor. And so then he goes and he gets fabric and he's like, you're making a dress out of this right now. I won this gambling dress. And then he makes a horse out of a block of wood for the boy.
Right.
So
and the funny thing was, for a while, like, it wasn't connecting that it was Pringle. I thought it was Stubby Pringle. And I was like, oh, is he going to become Santa Claus or something? That's what I was. Oh, he's Pringle, not Kringle.
Yeah. I'm just your average cowboy. Nothing more.
Like, oh, they're going to make Santa a cowboy. Or turn a cowboy into Santa Claus.
But he does get a piece of cake for the guy who was complaining, the cowboy.
Right.
And
the one that was calling him selfish.
Right.
for not sharing chocolate.
Yeah. So that's the story. I mean, it's not a whole lot of story. It's just like this cowboy, it was more important to him to serve this lonely mother and help these kids get a Christmas and his family than it was for him to find true love.
Yeah. So, the true spirit of Christmas, linking up with your fellow man, and that's what he did, and
I hope that maybe at the Easter thing, maybe the girl can be there.
Yeah,
maybe there's hope.
And maybe she'll, have heard about what he did, and that will endear him further to her. And they do end up getting married and living happily ever after. And
Stubby Pringle's Easter.
Yes, and maybe Stubby Pringle goes on to be the founder of Pringle Company, and
hey, there you go.
There we go.
But I mean, it has a really great cast. I mean, you've got Beau Bridges, Julie Harris, Kim Hunter, an Oscar winner. Kim Hunter is in it, and Edward Binns. You see him a lot in things. It's good, a really good cast.
I mean, all these movies had great casts.
Yeah, that's true.
Hallmark Hall of Fame. I guess it went a nice long way in getting people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that is this movie. I would give this one like a 3. It was cute.
It was fine. I am glad that it was a movie that didn't need to be any longer than it was, because it was such a simple story. Mm-hmm. So I think I would have taken more off if they had tried to stretch it out, but thankfully they did. So, but yeah, it was a nice story. I particularly Beau Bridges, I thought he delivered a great performance. Like, the character was extremely likable. Like I said, for like a good half of the movie, before I realized it was Pringle and not Kringle, I thought he was going to turn into Santa Claus. So, and
I think they almost could have done that. Yeah. I've been fine with that.
Yeah, I mean, he had that spirit about him. He had that, spirit. I was like, yes, he's going to be Santa Claus. I would have given it extra. I would give it more points if he had been turned into Santa Claus at the end.
But I did find it refreshing just to have this like platonic, completely non-self-interested character and gift and relationship, and that it was refreshing to see.
Yeah, it was sweet, and it was very Christmassy.
Yeah. So I would give this one, I think, a 3.
Yeah, I think so. Like a real 3. I think it's
like a real 3.
It's obviously better than The Littlest Angel. Although, for this movie is not as memorable but that movie, The Littlest Angel is memorable, not necessarily for its quality. It's kind of the opposite. But yeah, these are the first 3 Hallmark Christmas movies. I completely agree. I really hope that, people listening, you should message Julie and be like, check out that movie and
campaign.
Check out that movie and do an updated version of it. I think I really think that it deserves another shot. I think that it's it really, the story was really sweet, and it has a lot of potential to be a lot of fun as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. All right. Well, let us know if you've seen any of these three. We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments or on Twitter. So please pipe in. It would be a lot of fun to hear different perspectives. Because the thing about The Littlest Angel is that there's not that many Hallmark movies, because a lot of them that are bad and a lot of them people say are bad, but they're not like bad in ways that are like legendary and funny. You know what I mean? Like you couldn't do a riff tracks on like 99% of Hallmark movies. You could totally do a riff tracks for The Littlest Angel. You could Mystery Science Theater the heck out of it.
And also we would love it if you the viewing audience would join our campaign to get a remake of Have I Got a Christmas
Please
for You.
Let's do it. Yeah. So let us know what you think, and please like this video if you're watching on YouTube. Please give us a good review on iTunes. If you're listening on iTunes, we'd really appreciate that. You can find me at Rachel's Reviews all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. Check that out. Also follow us all over social media, and then we have our Patreon group, which Thaddeaus is a member of, and it's super fun. So please check that out. And then we have our merch store, which has tons of Christmas merch and other fun stuff. So take a look at that. And thanks so much. And I wish you all a very Merry Christmas wherever you are at.
Merry Christmas, everyone.